Since its inception over 2.5 millennia ago, Western civilization has faced many threats, but none as dangerous as when Persia's mighty army attempted to smash it in its infancy. It has lately become fashionable in the West to understate the threat Persia posed. After all, in the popular imagination, the ancient East, particularly the Persian Empire, is viewed as a rather effeminate lot, devoid of martial abilities. Nothing, however, could be further from the truth. In reality, the great empires of the East were built and maintained by war. Each, in turn, stood supreme for only as long as its army proved the most capable, fierce, and ruthless in the region. When a foe arose capable of overthrowing the military power of the ruling peoples, the vanquished went into rapid decline and a new people and empire ascended. In the 6th century BC, this process gave birth to the Persian Empire under their great conqueror Cyrus. Over a period of several decades, starting in 559 BC, Cyrus's Persian army swept all before it, creating an empire stretching from northern India to Egypt. For the next 200 years, Persian arms reigned supreme over an area as vast as the Roman Empire at its height, and would topple, finally, only under the successive hammer blows inflicted by Alexander the Great. During those 200 years, Persia suffered only two major military setbacks. The first occurred against the Scythian nomads occupying the vast steppes of southern Asia. Persian forces marched against enemies who possessed no cities or fixed wealth requiring defense, and who had a vast hinterland in which to retreat. Into this barren land, made even more desolate by foes who burned everything behind them, the Persian army marched endless miles in pursuit of an elusive enemy who refused battle. Frustrated and exhausted, the Persians could save themselves from ruin only by retreating back into the empire, with ferocious Scythian horsemen tearing at them all along their line home. The second military setback occurred when the Persian army marched against the Greeks, a very different kind of enemy from the Scythians. Persian kings thought the fractious city-states of Greece were an easy target, for the Greeks had little choice but to defend the cities on which their entire identity depended, and therefore could not flee before Persian arms. Moreover, as far as the Persians could see, these cities spent most of their energies on continuous rounds of internecine warfare. There appeared little chance the Greeks could put aside their hatred and distrust of one another long enough to unify against a common foe. At the start of the 5th century BC, however, even a unified Greece probably would not have appeared as much of an obstacle to the great king of Persia. As for the individual city-states, they must have appeared to the Persians as mere specks to be swept aside on the tide of conquest. In this analysis, Persia's kings made two mistakes. The first was that, in spite of a general dread of Persian military power, many Greek cities, led by Athens and Sparta, were ready to unify against an invader. The more fundamental error, however, was underestimating the fighting power even one city-state could bring to any battlefield where its soldiers could engage with an enemy in close combat. Twice the Persian armies came to conquer Greece. The first of these invasions ended when the Athenians wrecked a Persian army at Marathon. Because of its huge size, the second invasion, in 480 BC, immortalized by the sacrifice of the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae, is the best known. Rarely is it noted that the Greeks found the will to resist this second invasion only because of Athens' heroic stand at Marathon a decade before. For then, Athenian hoplites had stood almost alone on the plain of Marathon, facing an overwhelming Persian army only 24 miles from their home city. Feeling themselves unable to wait for the assistance of a Spartan force already on the march, and despairing of help from any other city, Athenian commanders ordered their hoplites to attack. Less than 2 hours later, the Persian force was wrecked, and its disorganized survivors were retreating out to sea.